Welcome to my YouTube video about buying a condo in Cebu, the pros and cons. I realized other good people have done reasonably good videos on the same subject, but due to personal experience, I have a lot more to add. So if you're thinking about that at all, or interested in buying a place in Cebu or anywhere in the Philippines, please listen to the end, and I really hope you'll get some good information out of this. One of the reasons someone might consider a condo, especially as they get older, throughout their lifetime they've seen rents go up a lot in places. Where rents used to be cheap, all of a sudden real estate gets expensive, or they just don't have the money later to rent a place when it was cheap before. So one reason people often buy a place is to have a fixed cost. Now, in a condo, there are association dues which you have to pay, so it's not totally fixed. But if you have a house, you have maintenance fees, you have property taxes, you have other expenses. But at least once you pay a thing and know that your major expense is over, you should have somewhere to live if you don't have more money later. Especially as you get older and you're not working, you're not bringing an income, and you're going to be living somewhere, it's nice to have something you can count on. One thing you might do is to find the price of projects when they were first available and then what they were later. Often when they're being built, they sell them much cheaper when they're building them, and then the price goes up later. Some projects have a really big difference in value, and as some people say, things may get overbuilt. And you can't tell what the economy is going to do. Some things may get overbuilt. Maybe the value will go down, but maybe there'll be inflation and the value will go up a lot. You can't be sure of that. If one is a foreigner, they cannot own land in the Philippines, but they can own a condo. So there's a certain piece of owning the place you live at if you want to own a place. I mean, there are schemes of getting a long-term lease on land, but that's probably not that easy to sell, where a condo would be easier to sell if you want later. Another advantage or pro of getting a condo is that you can choose your view. Not that you could with a house. Of course, that's also assuming they don't come along and build a taller thing right next to it and block your view, which could certainly happen too. But when your condo is built, you can design it how you want and get it furnished how you want. And hopefully it might appreciate with time and be worth more money. Where if you get a rental, you put less money right now, which is easy, and you can always leave, or you can try a place, live there a while, and decide that's not really where you want to be, and go somewhere else. So a rental does give you a lot more freedom. With a rental, it's more likely to be furnished, so you don't have to put as much money into it. Also with a rental, you'll see exactly what you're getting, where the pools are there and stuff. When you're getting a unit that's being built, you can't tell if everything will be ready when you're ready. Then there's another three choices. One is to get an existing condo that's currently being lived in. It would already be furnished. You'd see what you're getting. Another would be to move into a just finished unit, and one that you may have to get finished, and you would get finished how you want it to be done. And the last would be to buy a unit that's under construction or soon to be finished. And often when it's under construction, you can pay a lot less for it. The price is a lot less, although the currency may change, which may take away some of the price advantage. Though if you buy a unit that's already lived in and furnished, you might be able to find what's called a distress sale, where somebody really wants to get out and needs some money, and they'll sell it to you for a good price also. So that's why if you're looking to get your best deal, you may consider something like that. Then you need to make a location choice. Like if you really want to be near the water, you might find something like Lapu-Lapu Island. And it's probably going to cost less than some of the hardest Cebu places. And they might even include parking, which other places will charge more, but you might find yourself a little more isolated. Some of it is a decision whether you want to have a car or live in a place where you don't have a car. You may pay more to live in a place that's easy to get by without a car, but then you'll save money in the long run. Riala and other companies have built a lot of units around the Ayala Mall because they found a lot of people want to live near easy shopping, walking for that. IT Park's another place where a lot of building is going on, and they're building a new Ayala Mall there, due about the end of the year, and it's near all the call centers, and usually places Your offices tend to appreciate a lot, so it's a desirable area to be. Years ago, I talked with a woman that specializes in selling rural country property. She said she sells the same totally beautiful places over and over. People go to retire, they see a beautiful place, they fall in love with it, and buy it and move there. Then after a while, they miss their friends, they're away from shopping, they're far from hospitals, so they get lonely, so they put up on the market, and she sells it again to someone else. That is why, as people get older, it's nice to have a place close to a half-decent hospital. And with a lot of really hard traffic to get around in Cebu, it's nice to be close to shopping. Ideally, if you can just walk and get things, and be near food in many restaurants, and places where there's live music, and you can do that all without needing to have a car to get in the traffic. It can make life a whole lot easier. The next decision, is this mainly for investment purpose or for living space? And there is a difference, although you probably want a bit of both. Like when I talked to the Riala people, at least 5.5 years ago or more, they said, well, if I was going to live there, I'd move, get a place in Alcoves. But if I was going to rent it out, I'd get a place in Avida Towers, Riala. And there is a difference. And if you look at those places, what sells first? Well, the studios. They're small, you can use more space, but people can afford them. When the Tower 3 was ready, everything was sold except the 2-bedroom units because they cost more money and there's more monthly fees because they're a bigger area. So those might not be good if you were thinking of an investment. The question then is, how much can you rent a unit out for? Like then when I was looking at the 1-bedroom, I asked the salesperson, how much can I rent this for? And she gave me an amount that she said, well, based on what you pay for, you should be able to get this. So years later, after buying it and having the Riala management company and talking with them, they come up with a much lower amount. They didn't really think you'd get that amount, but one person was selling the unit, the other person was selling their services or renting the unit. So don't always expect to get what someone says you can get when they're selling you the unit. As you're looking at these photos, these are all the model rooms for the Avida Riala 1-bedroom unit. These are how they have fixed up nicely to sell. They don't come this way at all. This is something you have to do, just to make that clear. Many people who bought the units in Avida Riala, Towers 1 and 2, were planning on renting them out via Airbnb, so they had generally studio units, then they had someone fix them up for that purpose. And then after turnover, they decided and voted on the unit not to allow Airbnb or not to allow short-term rentals, things less than like 30 days or so. So if you planned on doing that, your business plan would be disrupted after you bought the thing. So you don't want to get all tied up with one string of hand and then find out you can't do it. Now if you look on Airbnb, you will find some of those for rent now, and I'm not sure if they're paying somebody off, but if you go to do it, they could fine you, and do other things to get back at you later. If you want to rent out by Airbnb, you could get units in another building that allows it. Like Avida Towers Cebu allows it as long as other ones, and that works. Just remember that people want to check in as early as they can, so you might put a 2 o'clock time and they check out like noon, so you have 2 hours to get the room ready, so you better have someone there ready to get the rooms ready. So remember, when you're planning on renting it out, you do have association dues, and those can change with time. Regardless of what a salesperson tells you they will be, they could be different. That usually means there's some amenities there, and amenities are nice. Like some condos have gyms, most of them have pools, and you can get a nice view, and some have backup power generation. So these are all things that make it nicer to live in. You're providing a special place for someone if you're renting it or living it yourself. You'd want exercise, and your tenants are going to pay more to have those things. Now, some condos in some places come with a parking place. Things like Avida Towers Riala do not. And the last I heard, they want like 1.2 million pesos to buy a parking place. Now, once you buy which you could buy a good half-decent car for that. Once you buy the parking place, there's still association dues on those square meters, so you're going to be paying a monthly fee on top of the high rate of buying it. So that's just something to consider when you're renting it, because someone might want internet or TV and things like that. I want to review the advantages of getting an existing condo from an owner or an agent. One, you can see what you will get and not just promises of what they're going to do. Two, you know what the existing association fees are. They're already being charged, they're already being collected. It shouldn't change too much once you're there. They should be already furnished with a good aircon unit and refrigerator and things that otherwise you'd have to go out and spend thousands of pesos for. And if they really need to sell the unit, you might get a really good deal. Most property people sell, they hold on for a high value that they think it's worth, that they'd like to get out of it. But when someone really needs to get out, they need to get out. They'll sell it at a lower price. That's what you want to look for if the unit is where you want to be and has the things you want and you like to view. Often you can get a unit brand new, ready to move in. Now, when they're selling some of these units, like 5 years ago, they said everything was filled up. More likely 5 years ago, they said, well, about half the things are sold. Like at the 38 Park Avenue units, which won't be ready for a couple of years, they said, oh, about 86% all sold. But is that really so? I don't know. But when my friend showed up with money in hand, well, they had a unit ready to go, they could move in. And there could be one of two things going on with that. One is the strategy is to put pressure on people, see a shortage, so you better move to get what you want, so you should buy now. So maybe they're not totally honest. On the other hand, maybe they are totally honest, but when you, quote, buy a unit and they're pre-sold, they're not really sold. People put money down to make a reservation for the unit. People make monthly payments to continue their reservation. They can't move in to turnover until they've paid for the entire unit. And that's usually a lot more. They have to work that out from a bank on their own. So it's a lot more than these minimal payments they do to reserve a unit. So when it comes time to the unit being ready, if they can't get the loan and stuff, basically, the way the law works, it's either 1 or 2 years. If you've made payments up to that time, you lose everything you put in and you've defaulted, or if it's 2 years, maybe you'll get half the money back, but you lose the rest of it. So you're basically putting up a lot of money for the right to be able to buy a unit later when it's ready to move in. To clarify, that friend of mine showed up at Avida Towers Riala, which supposedly everything had been booked up for a while. But when turnover happens, a whole lot of units start opening up because people can't make the payments for that. Some of the pros of this is that you can see what's really there and what you're getting, unless of course the amenities aren't finished, and that's another item. And you have a better choice of units, floor levels, and views, things that you might want for that. And usually they give you like a 9% discount for paying cash, so if it's supposed to be done in 3 years, that averages out about 3% interest rate for that. And one of the cons is be sure the company's stable. I mean, if they go under, you put all your money there and you don't get anything back. At least by then you'll have an idea how finished things are. But if you put that money early in the project and they go broke, well, that's unfortunate. Above you can see the unit when it's ready to move in. It's quite different than the model rooms, and that's just how things are. At least this is what you have to work with. One of the biggest cons I will try to describe, like let's say you go back in time 5.5 years ago and bought a unit. You're told, and you have a contract that says it will be completed in 3 years. That would be the fourth quarter of 2016. And so you do the math and you figure, well, I'm going to be paying to rent a place for 3 years, and after that I won't have to pay rent anymore. So it's a good business deal if it works out for you, because your rent will be covered. But then when that time comes, well, they're not ready. And you talk to them and they say, well, we sent you a letter about something. You know, there was an earthquake in Bohol, so we took a couple months to review, the foundation, which makes sense. But that certainly isn't in a year. So all your planning of having a place to live and being paid for sort of goes out the window. And it's in the contract you signed, and they signed also. In fact, in that contract was at the pool, the amenities, all these things would be ready. On all their brochures, they show a little dotted line of future buildings they were going to build, but all the amenities and the pools are going to be ready. But when you get there, they're not ready. And they say, so, okay, how about the swimming pool? Because somewhere you're moving to a warm climate, part of the draw is having a pool. Especially if you want to rent it to people, they want to have a pool. They're going to pay for that. If other places have a pool, they're not going to rent your place. So, like last February of 2018, we looked at the unit before it was ready to move in, and we asked, when's the pool going to be ready? Well, they look a little nervous, and they say, oh, the end of the year. Well, that would have been last January. And it doesn't happen. So you ask them when you move in around October of 2018, when's the pool going to be ready? So the nervous look, well, I think around June. It should be ready around June. And then, you talk to people that work there. Oh, it might be 4 years or 5 years or something. I mean, it's sort of scary, but there's really no way of telling when the pool's going to be ready. And that's one of the things that's in the agreement that it was going to be. It's like the agreement holds you to things, but they don't seem to take it very serious like it holds them to anything. The contract does show things like the pool and amenities were going to be done right away, then the other towers built later, and there were sort of dotted things on the pictures of where there'd be future buildings. If you show the contract to the people that work there, they're surprised. They've never seen that. They've never heard of that. And they're very nice people. It's just they have no authority to do anything about that. Someone else is doing the planning for that. So I took a walk over to Solinia, which is right by the existing Riala Mall, and I have a brochure from 6 years ago from there, which shows these great big beautiful swimming pools and things and amenities, and I wanted to see how they're doing. So I got in there without being a member there and asked them, how's the pool doing? Well, the pool's not ready yet. Well, when's the pool going to be ready? Well, that depends on a few factors. So I can't really see the... And that property cost a lot more than Avida Towers Riala. The same size room was a lot more money. It just has a little nicer finishes. Having lived in Avida Towers Riala for a while, I do have some positive things to say about it. And the security is very good. The people that work there are very friendly. Like if we come in with a taxi from shopping and have bags in our box or something, the security people come and carry it up to our room for us. They're very helpful. It's a very nice thing. If we want to go for a walk, there's sidewalks outside. There's places to eat across the street, and nearby an IT park we can walk places with sidewalks. There are some advantages of living there. There's just certain things that you might count on that should be there that aren't there. They're working on the garden, but they're not really done with it. Above, I've posted different condos that are available in the general area. They're generally on the very pricey side. So I don't know how good the resale is, because often people can't afford things. And they look very nice, but like the brochures I've seen before, are selling more of a fantasy. You can't always count on all those things being the way they say they'll be. Marco Polo's sort of done, so you can at least see what's there. It's a little further, but they do have free shuttles into town from there. Above are models of the Alcoves, which is by Riala Mall. It's a very pricey thing, and like the others I say, you'll have to do all the finishing up yourself. You don't get all the stuff that's shown there. I hope this has given you some idea of things to look out for when getting a condo. It can be a good way to live, but things aren't always how you might think they are. There's an enormous price range, and that's just something you have to choose for yourself. Please hit the like button and the subscribe button, and I'll be trying to make something else of use for you.